I'm nowhere near good. Excuse me? I can speak perfectly fine. Go ahead. Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening to the testifiers. How are you? I am a Virgin Islander first and foremost. And we live in a community that is predominantly Afro-Caribbean. And we are ethnically diverse here in the territory. And I'm sitting here very much annoyed at the fact that somebody on this television just called one of my colleagues a effing idiot. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And for some strange delusional reason, you people come here and think this type of behavior is appropriate. Now, we've sat down here for over 3 hours and listened diligently to everything everybody said, because this is important to us and it's important to our community. And the fact of the matter is, all of us might not have the same thought process. We might not agree. Some of us might agree. But what we do not tolerate in this territory is disrespect. And apparently, some of you don't have a problem with disrespecting us here. And I'm trying to understand why any of you would think it's appropriate. Then if you don't want to be here, if you think you're smarter, better, more intelligent, then you maybe should need to leave and don't state your time to speak to the idiots in this institution. Simple.
Before you,
I am going to...
Senator, before you move forward, hold the Senator's time. I just wanted to clear the record. The statement he made was to another panelist, not anyone in this hearing. So I just wanted to make that clear, and it's still not acceptable. And I can't agree with you, but they did not make reference to any one of the senators here. So I just wanted to make that clear for the record.
I don't like this type of behavior.
Okay.
The question I want to ask quickly, with the digging up of the roads, who authorized this? And please explain to the public how it works. Anyone?
Well, it's authorized by the Virgin Islands Department of Public Works, would be who authorizes it with a permit.
In regards to Public Works authorizing it, I need to understand a little bit when it comes to the 5G and Liberty. One of the things that I recognized had to do with some advertisement, and this is for me trying to understand what's happening. I saw some advertisements saying that AT&T is bringing 5G to the territory, but I'm also hearing that it's Liberty. So there's some sort of confusion with myself trying to understand who is actually bringing 5G to the Virgin Islands.
I'll let Mr. Curry answer that.
Yes, Senator, good evening. This is Najee Curry, CEO of Liberty Communication. There is a confusion. There's no doubt. I do agree. There is a time to which we are allowed to use the AT&T brand for a period of 1 year, which will expire October 31st of 2021. So during that period, we will transition from the AT&T brand to the Liberty brand. So we are communicating with our customers and explaining that what happened in the process. So we feel that we're over that hump, and it's fairly clear now. But until then, you will continue to see the AT&T logo for at least another 10 months, a bit less.
So this is actually a Liberty project, but you're advertising with the name AT&T.
No, it started under AT&T many years ago. We acquired the assets of AT&T with the acquisition on November 1st. So we are continuing the project that they have initiated, and we have promised to finish that project. My understanding that it was a very crucial project for the island to bury the infrastructure and not go through all the issues we all remember vividly during Irma and Maria. So all we're trying to do is avoid that disaster from happening again.
Approximately how many of these antennas are needed to cover every square mile?
I will pass to Mr. Victor Vera, our head engineer, who will answer that question.
Yeah, good evening. Currently, we have around over 30 sites, macro sites. But remember, the small sets will not do it for coverage, we'll do it for capacity. In terms of coverage, if we can implement the 5G technology on the same macro sites, we can provide the same coverage that we have right now. And we can cover the 3 islands.
From what I'm understanding, the current towers that do 3G and 4G can go further distances, so they could cover greater areas but less service for the providers, for those who need the service. So with the smaller antennas, you're going to need a lot more of them in order to provide the services needed for this territory. And with a community being this small, do you think that that is in our best interest to potentially, say, increase from, say, 10 towers to maybe now 100 to provide the service to the same amount of people? Is it really beneficial to us, or is it just something to add speed? I'm trying to understand the need for it in a community this size.
I think it's absolutely is necessary in the Virgin Islands. What happens is that these cell towers are the macro sites, and if you're in, you've got a cell tower up Crown Mountain, or Mountaintop, that's one place. But if you're down in Santa Maria, if you're down in Dorothea, if you're down in one of these coves or bay areas or whatever, then the cell service cannot get to you. And with 5G, we will have that service. I mean, Victor, I can explain it better, but I think that it's something that we absolutely need.
Time.
Okay, could I ask my last question? And this one is pertaining to health concerns. Who had the greatest amount of cell towers for 5G in the world currently? Who? Does anybody know?
Korea and China were the first 2 countries to really try densification.
But who had the majority of it right now?
I suspect that they still do, but they're rethinking it, as Dr. Aru showed you.
And
there's a rethinking of the process in China right now because there's not a recognition that they actually need it, and a lot of people don't want it, and it's really quite invasive in terms of the number of antennas. As you indicate correctly, you will need one every 130 feet or so. I frankly do not understand how you're going to get it into a cove where what you need is to have a cable that can be installed with a different kind of machine just under the surface, and a cabling is much more effective than wireless. You can't meet capacity ultimately.
Well,
Senator.
Yes, just let me make this last statement. I was looking at some while you guys were here testifying because I really wanted to see who had the bulk of the towers, and I think they were sharing that Switzerland. But apparently Switzerland currently is in a reverse. They're trying to pull back and say something severely is happening here in our country that has all of these towers. And I think one of the things they put a moratorium on, and a couple of other laws they put in place. So my question and thinking is, if you have one of these countries that was full speed ahead and put up all of these towers because they thought at one point speed was important, but now they're recognizing that some type of health effects is happening in their community to the point they're saying, wait a minute, we need to rethink this. I'm a little bit concerned for myself here, where in this population it's 50,000 people. The other population is 50,000 people. St. John is 4,000. So I'm almost wondering if we're almost like a guinea pig situation here, because I'm very much concerned about this. If the larger countries are rethinking it, and we're here trying to push forward to say, hey, we're about needing a little bit of extra speed. Are we willing to
That's-
take speed over health? And that's what I'm trying to understand from everyone tonight. Thank you.
That's an excellent comment.
Senator,
Wait,
am I allowed to answer the question?
Excuse me. Moving forward, please state your name before you speak.
Mr. Chairman, this is Najee Khoury again, CEO of Liberty. I would urge you to read through the story in Switzerland. What drove it is not necessarily health concern. It's the fact that many carriers deployed it simultaneously and crowded the space. So I would urge to look through it. This is not related to health concern. And if I'm allowed to make one more point, with all due respect to the different doctors on this call today, I appreciate them, but I do believe they are not engineers and RF experts, and I am, and Victor is. There is a significant misconception of what is 5G and how it is delivered. 5G uses today 40 to 100 times less power than 4G and 3G. So if there was absolutely no indication of 3G and 4G causing cancer, why would 5G cause anything related to health issues when it's actually, its power is much, much less? The argument of the 150 meter per cell site is actually for the simple reason to lower the power that those antenna generates, not with the intention to increase the power, because the small device you're going to have in a meter, the small device you're going to have in your trash can, the small device you're going to have anywhere else, we won't have enough power to generate to get to the antenna that's 4 miles away, but it will have enough power to get to a small antenna that is 100 meters away. So this concept that 5G generates more power is absolutely incorrect. Dr. Davis used 5 billion megahertz to mention frequencies that are in the millimeter waves, making you believe that those are pulse related, and they are not pulse related. This is a frequency band. And whether it is in the 100 megahertz or in the 223 gigahertz, it's the same amount of pulse. It just carries over different highways. There's a tremendous amount of misconception and misunderstanding and misinformation for the sole purpose of confusing the recipient of this information that is helping. It is not, period.
Okay, thank you for your responses. Senator Francis Heyliger, you recognize for your 5 minutes.
Good evening, I hope. I have a couple of questions I would like to ask. First, in regards to the digging of the roads, I know it was mentioned earlier, but one of the things that I personally hear a lot of complaints about, and even directly outside of my own home, was after the roads were dug up, a lot of the debris and stuff went into cisterns, and I know it was mentioned before, and with the sprinkling system, I was told was not available to some of these machines, the type of damage that it's doing to the homes in the territory. What is your resolve for this? Because I hear a lot of complaints from constituents in regards to that.
Senator, good evening. This is Najee Khoury from Liberty. I am not very familiar with the details, but I know that, yes, we did face some issues that we are addressing, and those are some of the different contractors that we have used over the past couple of years, or AT&T have used. So we are looking at auditing their work, their quality. So there's work to be done on that front. But beside that, unfortunately, we did not bring the expert on this call. We thought this was about 5G and the impact on the health. So next time we'll bring the right people to the
the reason why I'm discussing this is the reason why you're digging up our roads is to deal with 5G. Am I correct?
Not necessarily. This is not about dealing with 5G.
That's what was shared with us.
I will explain. The reason we are digging up the road is not to repeat the disaster that we all went through in September 2017, where we all lost communication for months and days. We are digging the road in order to bury the infrastructure. So another hurricane, God forbid, hits the island, we won't suffer a communication meltdown like we did in 2017. We are digging up the road because if we connect the cell site with a fiber optic network, you get better speed and more reliability into the process. The outcome of a better network will allow you to move into a 5G network, which we're doing, but that is not the sole reason we're digging up the street.
Could you have provided
infrastructure in the ground.
Could you have provided 5G to this territory without digging up the roads?
The answer is no.
The answer is no?
Correct.
So basically, in order to bring 5G, you had to dig up the roads.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In digging up the roads, one of the things I'm asking in regards to what agreement did you had with Public Works to put the roads back how you met them? Because one of the things I'm noticing is when they're getting filled in, they have like a crevice where you're driving and your wheel could drop in. And this has happened to me several times, which potentially at times causes me to have to grab my wheel to control my car better. It's almost like your tire is falling into a groove and forcing your car a little bit out of control. What agreement did you have with Public Works to put the roads back how you met them?
Senator, if you allow me, let me ask our attorney, Mr. Bolt, who's more familiar with the regulation on the island. Maybe he can help me answer the question. Tom?
Thank you.
Yes, Tom Bolt, Liberty. I think a lot of the problem is that the contractor, BLDM,
1 minute.
has begun to repair the strip. But if Senator, if you are getting in a situation where your tire is going into some groove, that is not a completed repair, and it needs to it will need to be completed. I know that, and I believe I understand that someone, I think Senator Sorrow, someone had brought up the issue in Moffley, and I think that the decision was made to not do as VINGN did with us, where they just paved the strip. But I think that the agreement was made to repair the half of the road.
To just repair. So you met it whole and you're going to just put it back halfway.
No.
Oh, that's what you said half of it. I'm confused.
Well, I mean, no, you cut the strip in the road, and then they're gonna do you do one half of that side of the road. You do, and that doesn't create a problem.
Okay.
As opposed to just filling in that one strip and then you in the groove.
Yeah, I actually want to support what is being said here. And you've been devastated by those 2 hurricanes that hit you so badly. If you bury the cable, you will be much better off for your communication system.
Yes.
What I would like to see is that buried cable, fiber to and through the premises. Because if you have towers, they're much more vulnerable. Unfortunately, what they want to do is to bury the cable, which is a good idea, to make the fiber optic backhaul, and then put the antennas up, and those antennas are going to be just as vulnerable to hurricanes as you just had happen.
Okay.
And that is why we believe you should be wired fiber to and through the premises, for which there is a protocol, which is being done in China and other places.
Please state your name for the record, please.
My name is Dr. Deborah Davis. I was just speaking in favor of burying.
Ask my other question. Thank you. I wanted quickly just on the roads, and before I finish, was there a reason why we did not use the underground conduit that's already there as opposed to digging the road up again?
Yes, as it was, Tom Bolt, Liberty. As it was said earlier, the conduit from VINGN was not up to industry standard.
Okay. And the last thing, and this one has to do with transitioning, and I have to concur with every single one of my colleagues here because I too have Liberty. because I was an AT&T customer. And when you transitioned, I was very traumatized by my service. It went from being pretty okay to a variety of drops every 5 seconds. And I was one of those customers that said, you know something, it's a transition, so I'm going to give them an opportunity to do what they have to do. But while you're fixing whatever you're fixing, the service has plummeted to the point where I'm actually questioning if I have to get another phone system. That's how bad it is for me. But the only thing I want to ask lastly before I finish, as it relates to how your system transfers phone lines, one of the major issues that has been occurring not only to myself and other individuals that have complained about it is to transfer a phone from one account to another. And I could only use myself as an example quickly. I have been for the last 2 months trying to transfer one phone number from one individual account to another. And the problem that they keep telling me is that your system is not allowing it because of the transfer from AT&T to Liberty. Is this something that's ongoing? Because I know at least 3 other people are having the same problem. Literally cannot transfer one account to another account. The last conversation I had with your customer service rep, after going there about 6 times, I finally gave up. They took my name and information and said when they ultimately can get it transferred, they would give me a call back. That was about a month ago. So I need to know what's the issue with individuals being able to transfer phones from one account to another since you guys took over. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heyliger. Now let me ask, I guess AT&T because many folks believe that instead of pursuing the 5G deployment, we should be concentrating on connectivity when it comes to our homes and businesses with fiber optic network, which would be. Francis Heyliger, you recognize for your point of inquiry.
Good evening. Before I do my point of inquiry, could you please respond to the question I asked before and I never got an answer to? Is there a reason why, since the transition, that we cannot transfer one account to another? For example, if I have a phone that I would like to transfer to my sibling, to this day since the transition, that cannot be done with your company. Is there a reason why that issue is occurring?
This is Najikur again from Liberty. This happens under only 2 circumstances. It happens on the circumstance that the number that you are bringing in or transferring in is a non-340 number. Is that the case, Senator?
No, the number exists with you guys already. We just want to change it from one account to another. And I know of at least 3 people this is happening to, and they keep telling us to come back, and this is months, and they still cannot resolve it.
Okay, let me explain the mechanic behind it, Senator. Upon the acquisition of the AT&T asset and all its customer in both the territory of the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, we went through a process with AT&T where what they called it to be the definition of a perimeter. So they said those 100 customer, 90 go with you, Liberty, and 10 stay with me. There was some definition that they have put forward on what are the consumer that stays with them. For example, if the majority of the usage is outside of the Virgin Islands, their customer stayed with AT&T, even though their customer might actually be in the Virgin Islands for a month or 2, right? But the majority of his or her usage was outside the territory. So my question to you, Senator, is that line that you're trying to bring in, is that line and the person living in the territory all the time?
Yes.
Okay. So if that is the case, allow me to investigate the situation, because that should not be the case. The only limitation we had, if that phone line was outside the territory and you wanted to bring it in,
Okay.
we do have an issue on the phone. But if you allow me to get your phone number,
Sure.
privately,
My office
then
number
we
is
can look at it.
340-693-3600. And the question I wanted to ask had to do with 5G and the population. I understand the importance of trying to bring 5G here to the territory based on what you're sharing with us. But I'm looking at it from a cost-effective and economical standpoint. For all of the funding that you're investing to bump us up to 5G, is this something that is a plus for your company, or is it going to be a long-term situation where we ultimately, as consumers, will have to pay for it?
Senator, this is again, this is Najee Curry from Liberty Mobile. This is a very, very good question. This is a question that the industry is battling with. I'll give you our view on it. We believe the investment in 5G is a must. We believe that our investment in the technology will carry us for the foreseeable future. And no, our intention is not, and I repeat, is not to pass those fees or those costs to our subscriber. In fact, but not very far from today, automatically every customer that will have a 5G phone will connect to the 5G network and enjoy the speed that the network will provide. So there will be no increase in rates for the customer to be able to use 5G, nor as a mechanism for us to recover our investment, nor today, nor tomorrow, nor next year, nor the year after.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Heyliger.